as we journey through life, we come through tough times and good times. And how nice it is when we have people coming to bind us when we are going through the tough times. It's also very nice having people come to celebrate with us. That indeed is the essence of Household of Love. Bringing hope to individuals, bringing hope to the family, bringing hope to the community, and bringing hope to the world. Welcome to Candid Talk.
After I settled down,
Yeah.
I came now and I had to get a house. So I remember we moved into this house, and I think the only thing I'd moved out with was the bed for the children. And that one I was confident to move out with it because it's something that it's a project that I'd done with my money. So so that one I knew it's mine.
It's yours, yes. Yes.
So that's what I moved out
And
with.
it's for the child, so it's not like you are taking
Yes,
it to show something.
Yes, and a kitchen stool,
Yeah.
which I'd also made. I used to work with Riply, so they used to make furniture. So those are some of the things I'd made from there. So those are things that I moved out with. But one of the things I thank God is that I have a friend, I think you know her, Mrs. Wepuhulu. So Mrs. Wepuhulu is how we got to be friends. As I said, I was coming, we live in Webuye.
Yeah.
So one time we had visited Mom in Webuye, and we are at the main stage waiting for Matatu. And here I was holding this young kid, trying to go back to Eldoret with another younger child. Waiting.
Oh.
So they were passing by with their husband, and they stopped, and they're like, so where are you going? You know? They said I was going to Eldoret. So it's like, yeah, we can, yes, and they were going to Eldoret. So they gave me a lift. So that's how we developed the friendship. So from there, she kept tabs also. She wanted to come and see me. So somehow she also knew the journey that I was going through in the process.
Yeah.
So when I moved out, that's what I moved out with a stool. So I remember she brought for me a table. Because now my child was, Nerea was in class 3 by then. So we used to turn that stool, becomes the table for doing the homework. Then it's the seat for sitting on, and we would sit on the beds. I slept down for a long time. But in the process, she also now helped me because, as I'd mentioned, I was a young Christian.
Yeah.
So just now start to growing my faith and encouraging me to come to church.
Yeah.
So in the while we were doing that, so I got plugged into a fellowship. You know, I was fellowshipping at Siriko Pentecostal Fellowship. And that fellowship, we used to call them the small groups. What Sitam refers to as safari groups. We would call them cell groups, you know. Yeah, so that's where I was. So I was introduced to that family, and they took me in as I was, you know. So that ensured I didn't fall back in my Christian walk, but at the same time, I was blessed. Yes, in a family, you know, as the scripture says, He places the lonely in a family. So yes, my family was there; they're supporting me. But my mom was back in Webuye.
Yes.
My sister was back in Nairobi.
Yes.
So in Eldoret, they became my family.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's how we started fellowshipping and growing together. So I remember we were calling it West Home Care. In Siriko, we were calling them home cares. So it was West Home Care. So then I started gaining the confidence of even as a woman, because one of the things as a single parent, there's also a stigma to it.
A lot of stigma.
You know,
a lot of
you
stigma.
are looked like either you're looking after people's husbands, you know.
I know.
So you're a predator. You're marked, you know.
So when you're placed in a family,
it's
really affirming you, because they are not doubting. They are not thinking you are here to look at my husband.
No,
you're just a friend.
You're just a friend. So and that's how we started growing up with the children and getting back to go to church.
Yeah.
And that's how I slowly also went back into ministry, you know, and felt confident that I can even participate in the ministry, because, you know, sometimes even in church, you don't know whether it's okay, because it's so stigmatized sometimes even in church that one of the requirements would be like, maybe you need to be married. You know, if you're single, you're single, not single with children. You know, not single, you've walked out of a relationship or a marriage. not single with, yeah, it's single.
It just really makes me feel sad. It's as if you're not allowed to live in this world where everyone is living, you know. It's as if you're an outcast. I really think that's something that if the rest of the society who do not know God do not take care of it, at least the church should,
Yes.
you know, so that people who are not married feel like we are also allowed to be in this space.
Yes.
We are not left out, you know. I was, I had a bridal shower at some point, and in the bridal shower at some point, one of the ladies announced, all the married women, let's go and meet with the lady, you know. And so later, one of the ladies who had divorced asked me, is it that I don't know anything about marriage, you know? In fact, she said, in fact, I know more because I've had struggles, you know. So I may even have something that will help this person not to go the wrong way. So it is really sad that people who have had reason to walk out of their marriages or who have been pushed out of their marriages are so isolated, which should not be the case. We have this thing of you need to have a good marriage. First of all, you need to have a marriage, then have a good marriage. Then, you know, sometimes we move into social classes as well. And it's just not something that is good, because we need to make the world a place where everyone is comfortable. The world is not for certain people and not for certain people. For me, that's what really makes me sad, and what makes me feel that we should be deliberate about it. We should deliberately take in other people, embrace everyone, you know. Yeah.
In fact, I think the challenge is normally we associate this person with the status. Then
You are not your status.
We remove the human aspect from that person.
Yeah.
So when you are judged based on you
Your
failed
status.
in that status, you know. If only we would come from a point of I am human first of all.
Yes.
As you're talking about bridal shower, if you look at it, she's a woman. Can she have an advice for another woman? As an older woman, can she talk to a younger woman?
Exactly.
Then we would stop having married women. Look at it that this is
Women
a younger
are
woman,
meeting.
and she needs some advice from an older woman. So she, as you're saying, she might have a lot to speak in that bridal marriage. That might not even necessarily be with regards to marriage. But yet, this woman also does not live in that cocoon of marriage alone.
Exactly.
Outside there, she's a career woman.
Yeah.
Outside there, she's a girlfriend. Outside there, she's a sister.
Exactly.
Outside there, she's a tenant or she's a landlord, you know. That yes, I can have a lot to speak into this marriage than necessarily the relationship itself. I can have so many other inputs, and I think that's how we find ourselves really sometimes not fitting anywhere. You know, you get into a meeting, and yes, it's all about this and all about this.
Some of us say, I have been married for this many years.
So it just puts you off, you know. So if we would only be a bit sensitive, if we would only be a bit caring in knowing, first of all, the background. If we would have the bare minimum, we are all here as women, for example.
Exactly.
Then that would make me feel comfortable.
That's true.
To be part and parcel, to partake of that.
That's true.
When we look at older women, for example, so create such kind of forums that
I'm
I
an
can
older
actually
woman,
plug
whether
in.
I'm
Yes,
married
whether I'm
or
married
not.
or not, I'm an older woman, you know. So whether I'm young or old, married or not, I'm a woman. Whether I'm married or not, I'm a career woman. You know, so if we would create such kind of pockets, then it would create this kind of fellowship, and it would minimize the stigma, that is there with single parenting. You know. So I think for me that's one of the things that I've found it. And when you talk about being placed in families, those are families. So it's not necessarily the nuclear family, but it could be a family of believers. It could be a family of sisters. It could be a family of, you know, maybe the people you identify with in your career. It could be a family of older people. It could be a family. So let's create those kind of families
I like
and have
the
these
fact
people.
that
Yes.
sometimes my daughters feel they'd rather talk to Stella will understand them more than Mommy, you know,
Yes.
meaning that there's good in you that they see, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes they ask, where is your sister today? You know, where is she today? You know. But having said that, there must be some good things. What are those advantages? What are those things that, because we also want to look at, there must be good in being single. There must be good, some good in being a single parent, for example. What are some of the things that you'd pick up easily to think through?
One of the things that really come out, and I'm glad that you mentioned that your daughter says sometimes she'll find it easier to talk to me. And one of the things I know, I think when I used to wonder, how can I plug into the church? And as I mentioned, I was staying with my younger sister. So she was very active in the youth ministry. And for me, I was like, yeah, let the youth come home. They can come home. We can make chapatis. So for the first time, the youth had to come home, and I had to host more than 60 youth from church.
Wow.
Because they came to eat chapatis.
Wow.
So in church, many people didn't even know my real name, you know, but they knew there's a mom somewhere, because all they would do, they would just call me mom, you know. So they came there, and they were quite free to have
The chapatis.
the chapatis, and they were quite free to enjoy the space. So those are some of the advantages of
Which
of
I would
being-
have to go and
yes.
check with my husband first.
Yes, exactly.
Can we have this?
Can we
youth?
have this youth camp here?
Yeah.
Or can we? And there's a lot of protocol involved.
That's true. That's true. In marriage, there's protocol.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
protocol. So for me, that gave me a lot of freedom, or rather, it just encouraged me to have a ministry to the younger people.
Okay.
And that's how I started ministering to the younger people. So I would have them come over. We used to call it Chapati Sunday.
Yeah.
So every Sunday we'd just make chapatis. And I remember I would start with my sister with my sister was in campus then, and they were living in campus. So we'd be like, I'm sure you people in campus, all you do is eat maybe ugali na mayai, you know, so come home for a meal, because majority of them were living far from home.
From home, yeah.
So they found it easier even just to come and have another older person that they can be able to talk to, that they are also not parents.
Exactly.
So they just find that platform to do that. And that's how I plugged into the ministry of ministering to the young
people.
adults and young at heart.
I want to read for you something. The last, we were hoping to have another guest, Pastor Emma Mrunga, and I'm hoping that we'll touch base with her, that she can give us some comments on this topic. But these are the benefits that she thought were benefits for a single parent. She said the first one is fulfillment of results when the child has grown up. When they're all grown up. So it's like you've been inputting into these children. When they grow up, you feel fulfilled. The second one, she said, you learn a better way of doing things because you're the sole parent. So you find yourself doing different other things that ideally it would be a spouse doing this other thing, you know. The third thing she said, you wholly depend on God. I remember when we were talking about the finances, you know, you wholly depend on God, and in the process, you thirst for fellowship with Him, and thus you develop intimacy with God, especially during lonely times. So it's like you actually take time to pray, sometimes more than a married person would, who has to attend to the husband, attend to this, you know. And then the other thing that she said, I think those are the three things she said. I don't know what, the fourth one was, you develop children that are self-reliant, who tend to learn entrepreneurship skills as they see you doing different things to make ends meet. So because of the much that you do, you know, it causes them to also think about, I need to be self-reliant. Dad is not always there to do this for me, you know, because there's a tendency to, when there's a dad, to rely on what dad does. But when it's a mother doing things, children tend to want to support the mother. They tend to think this is too much for mom to do, you know. So in the process, they learn to be self-reliant. They learn different skills. I don't know what you would have to say about that.
I remember when I was contemplating whether to move out or not.
Yeah.
Just go back there.
Yeah.
And my sister gave me the scripture of Isaiah 54. I think as you're just talking about it, I remembered about it. And I will just pick it out from verse 2. You know, I mean, the verse 1b, when it says, because more are the children of the desolate woman
Yeah.
than of her who has a husband, says the Lord. Enlarge the place of your tent.
Wow.
Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your stakes.
Yeah.
For you will spread out to the right and to the left. Your descendants will dispossess nations and settle in their desolate cities. Do not be afraid. You will not suffer shame. Do not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. You will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood. For your Maker is your husband.
Wow.
The Lord Almighty is his name. The Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. He is called the God of all the earth. The Lord will call you back as if you are a wife deserted and distressed in spirit. And it goes on. And that,
A wife married young,
yes,
only to be rejected,
Yes.
says the Lord your God. You
yes,
know?
yes.
That's interesting.
Because that covered a lot of the stigmas that you go as a single parent. You know, the shame, the rejection, the fear, the isolation.
Yeah.
And it brought me so much joy just to know that I will never miss.
Exactly. Exactly.
I will never go hungry.
You will not suffer shame.
I will not
when
suffer
the Bible
shame.
says that,
Yes.
and you take it wholly,
Yes.
and then because you are seeking that relationship with God,
Yes.
you are seeking Him,
Yes.
you actually get...
You own it.
You own
You know,
it.
when she talks about it's God or no God, it's just God. You know, he is your provider.
Yeah.
He is your everything.
Yeah.
You know, you look unto him.
Yeah.
So you learn to cling to those scriptures because those scriptures mean something to you. They have to mean something. You know,
Because you don't have an alternative.
No, I don't have an alternative. So when I look at it and say, God, you say I stretch my tent.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So when I'm looking for a house to move out,
Yeah.
those are things I consider.
I know, right?
I look at it and say, yes, I have to stretch my tent. When you say, I will not suffer shame, it gives me the courage and the boldness to actually go out there and be a leader and serve.
That's true.
Because I'm not going to suffer shame or rejection. He says, I will not forget, you know, you will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood.
You know.
So whatever that I did, the society has considered it as shameful.
You know.
As moving out of a house with children and now they're not living with their dad.
Yeah.
I consider that this God who is saying he is my maker, he is my husband,
Yeah.
he is the Holy One, he's the one who has redeemed me. What is so much more in redemption?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, redemption means you cannot hold anything against me.
No.
So yes, it gives you time to really trust in God.
Trust
It gives you time to look unto God. It gives you time to depend on him and him alone. Because as you mentioned, when it comes to finances,
Yeah.
I have had to put my children through school. My firstborn has now cleared school,
Yeah.
and she's working. She's an advocate of the High Court. But the journey was not easy. My son is now clearing his fourth year. God willing, he'll be able to graduate in September. It has not been easy. But you know the journey of faith.
Exactly.
You know that one of you do not have.
Exactly. Exactly.
It has
yeah.
to come from the Lord. You would send the children to school, not knowing where the school fees will come from. But you had to trust the fees will be paid.
I know.
You had to trust that the fees will be paid. You stopped looking at your income as your source because those hesabu, they don't ingiana. I have an Excel sheet that I maintain and balance. It never balances. So I throw it away and I had to go back to God.
Wow.
And I had to trust God even to just verbalize my need than the prayer of give me this and give me that. It's my need. I would verbalize and say, today, God, I need eggs.
This is what I need.
This is what I need. So not to go and tell him what to do. I just tell him I need eggs. Whatever resource God will use, he will bring me eggs. Whether he uses you to bring me eggs,
You know.
or somebody else,
You know.
and he'll have provided.
Yeah.
So it removes that reliance on your income or on your skills or on expertise, and it puts your reliance on God.
Wow. Wow.
Because for sure you learn to depend on Him.
Exactly.
And even as you've said, just the satisfaction.
Yeah.